The serene and mystical setting. A massive tree stands tall, ancient and majestic. What a massive tree, noting, it must be a sacred tree more than 1,000 years old. Setsuna feels a deep connection as a green glow surrounds him. It seems that I am being acknowledged this time again, he reflects, as the light intensifies around him. He explains, it's the blessing of the sacred tree. Thanks to this holy mana attribute, I can recover my mana. It's only given to those who have been acknowledged by the sacred tree. Setsuna recalls, I had found this place before my regression. As the sacred mana flows through him, Setsuna feels reinvigorated. As long as I am here, I have no worries about running out of mana, he says with a determined expression. Basically, I can train until I reach my limit, he declares, glowing with confidence. Nearby, Layla's watches in awe. Wow! She exclaims, but her thoughts betray concern. But Drago is a natural-born close combat mage. She ponders, worried for Setsuna's upcoming challenge. Layla's reflects on Setsuna's kindness. He helped me to get my brooch back, she thought with determination. It's my turn now to help him, she declared enthusiastically. All right. Let's start scouting. As Setsuna looked on, confused by her sudden excitement. Inside the close combat department training room, the atmosphere was filled with effort as students trained hard. Layla's entered, glancing around at the intense exercises. What the hell is that? She muttered, astonished by the sheer determination and strength on display. Drago pushed himself during his workout. 9, 10. He counted, finishing an intense set. His strength stood out, earning him murmurs from the onlookers. He's the only odd one here. Someone whispered. Drago asked casually, Professor, are the black steel rocks still in the yard? Lionel's responded, Hey, are you planning on crushing all of the rocks? Drago exits the training room with a confident stride, saying, I won't break them. Moments later, he is seen carrying an enormous stack of black steel rocks on his back. I'm only borrowing them, he says with a smirk, showcasing his incredible strength. Layla's peeks around a corner, her eyes wide with disbelief. No way, you're kidding me, right? She exclaims internally. Her mind races. If someone received a punch from a guy like that, wouldn't he die? Setsuna, is he really going to be fine? She wonders, anxiety growing as she rushes to find him. Meanwhile, Setsuna is seen calmly reading a book titled The Book of Martial Arts. The girl storms in, shouting, Hey, is it the time to relax like that? Her exasperation grows as she recalls. Drago was doing push-ups with 5 black steel rocks stacked on his back, you know? Setsuna, however, remains composed, undeterred by her concerns. Setsuna listens. Layla's expresses her concern. I see. As expected, he mutters thoughtfully, acknowledging her worries. He smiles slightly, confident in his strategy, and reassures her, don't worry. This is also part of my plan. Blue mana begins to glow in his eyes, signifying his determination to follow through with his preparations. Layla's asks, puzzled, what do you mean by? Setsuna explains. A physical boost is basically reinforcement and controlling the nervous system with mana. He continues, if you want to boost your legs, you just need to focus on your legs. If you want to boost your hands, you just need to focus on your hands, teaching her the basics of channeling mana for physical enhancement. Setsuna stood still, his glowing blue eyes filled with focus. A voice resonated in his mind. In case you want to boost your memory, just focus on the head. He concentrated deeply, letting the words guide him. Nearby, a stack of books rested, brimming with techniques. Slowly, the knowledge began flooding into his mind. And once you've got the techniques in your head, you just need to put it into practice, the voice concluded, sparking Setsuna's next move. Under the bright sky, Setsuna stepped forward, his determination palpable. A single leaf floated lazily through the air, capturing his attention. His gaze sharpened as he summoned his energy, every muscle prepared for. Boom! His leg shot out in a powerful kick, the force slicing through the air with a brilliant blue aura. The leaf shattered into countless fragments, carried away by the shockwave of his strength. Setsuna continued without hesitation, his movements fluid and precise. Punches, kicks, and strikes formed a seamless rhythm, each surrounded by streaks of glowing blue energy. The wind whipped around him as leaves scattered in every direction. From a distance, Layla, her fiery red hair catching the sunlight, watched in awe. Her wide eyes reflected astonishment as she took in Setsuna's mastery. Unable to contain her amazement, she gasped softly, overwhelmed by the sheer brilliance of his performance. Setsuna stood in the clearing, breathing heavily as his aura flickered with intensity. Layla watched in amazement, her fiery red hair catching the light as she exclaimed. Amazing! I've never heard of a method to learn this fast. Despite her enthusiasm, Setsuna shook his head, his determination unwavering. No. This is still not enough, he muttered, his glowing blue eyes narrowing with focus. Pushing himself further, he gritted his teeth as his body struggled to keep up with his intense efforts. His muscles screamed in protest, but Setsuna pressed on until he collapsed to one knee. Ugh. He winced, fighting through the pain. Setsuna. Layla called out in concern, stepping forward, her worry etched clearly on her face. Setsuna glanced down at his trembling hand, a terrible wound stretching across it. Such a terrible wound. Layla whispered in shock as she approached, her voice laced with worry. But Setsuna simply shook his head. I'm fine, he said, though his voice was strained. He looked up at her with a flicker of reassurance. I'm merely pushing my muscles to the limit with physical boost. He took a deep breath, gathering his focus again. And now, I just need to focus on boosting my healing, he said as his hand began to glow faintly with green energy. Slowly, the wounds began to mend, the magic taking effect. As his hand fully healed, Setsuna clenched his fist, feeling the newfound strength flowing through his body. I can strengthen my body in a short period of time, he stated confidently. Layla, still concerned, stepped closer. You don't have to push yourself like this. There must be another way, right? She asked, her voice filled with care. Setsuna turned toward her, his expression firm. No, he said simply, his resolve shining in his eyes. I can't keep up with Drago with half-baked methods. He's been training for years in close combat magic after all. Layla stared at him, her worry mixing with admiration for his relentless drive to improve. Setsuna clenched his fists, his expression filled with resolve as he spoke. In the remaining week, I need to do this destroy and reconstruct method 1,000 more times. Layla gasped, her eyes widening in shock. 1,000 times? Just a single cycle is already this painful, she exclaimed, her voice trembling with worry. But Setsuna smiled faintly, his tone calm yet determined. It's nothing like that, he said, his gaze turning distant. As he looked ahead, his memories surfaced. When I'm training myself, it reminds me of that time. The scene shifted to a quiet orphanage, a place from his past. The soft laughter and chatter of children filled the air as the memory began to unfold. Setsuna's younger self stood in the orphanage, a determined look on his face. He held a book in one hand and reached out with the other, trying to cast magic. At the time, I couldn't use any magic, his older voice narrated, reflecting on those days. Every day, he spent his time practicing relentlessly. His small frame was a testament to his persistence as he tried again and again, determined to succeed despite his limitations. The memory continued, showing young Setsuna attempting to control his magic. Time and time again, he failed. His hand trembled as the energy flickered and fizzled out. I failed many times, his voice admitted, tinged with both regret and pride. Even then, he never gave up. Even then, I kept on practicing. Through sheer effort, the flickers of magic began to stabilize. It was a slow process, but his perseverance paid off. Even if my growth was slow, I was getting better step by step, he concluded, a faint smile of satisfaction on his face as the memory ended. Setsuna stood tall, his piercing blue eyes blazing with determination as he muttered, as long as I can get stronger, this is nothing. Beside him, Layla mirrored his stance, her fiery red hair glowing in the sunlight. The two moved in perfect harmony, their kicks slicing through the air. Blue and red energy trailed behind them, a testament to their growing power. They pushed themselves to the limit, their synchronized movements creating waves of energy that rippled across the training field. Layla watched Setsuna with a quiet intensity, her thoughts heavy with reflection. Someone said that Setsuna has only talents, she recalled, her mind echoing the words of others. Her gaze shifted to him. Setsuna was in the middle of a grueling exercise, lifting a massive tower of weights as his body trembled with effort. His face dripped with sweat, his breath coming in harsh gasps. 10. He grunted, completing the set with sheer willpower. Despite his exhaustion, he refused to falter. Layla clenched her fists, determination burning in her own eyes as she thought to herself, in reality, he's been working harder than anyone. She admired his relentless drive, knowing the truth of his hard-earned progress. The scene shifted to the arena, where the decisive battle loomed ahead. The crowd murmured in anticipation as the day of the match arrived. Setsuna stepped onto the battlefield, his confidence unshaken, ready to face the challenge head-on. Setsuna stood confidently on the battlefield, facing his opponent. The man before him smirked and said mockingly, "So you didn't run away?" Setsuna's expression didn't waver. His piercing blue eyes locked onto his opponent as he responded, "I won't run away. After all, I am the representative for the close combat department." The air grew heavy with tension as the referee raised his arm and called out, "Are you two ready?" Setsuna clenched his fists, a faint glow of energy radiating from his body as he prepared for the fight. The crowd fell silent as the two combatants stared each other down. The anticipation was palpable. With a booming voice, the referee declared, "Let the match begin." In an instant, Setsuna's aura flared with a brilliant blue light, his focus sharpening like a blade. The energy surrounding him surged, a testament to his intense preparation and determination to win. The match had begun, and Setsuna was ready to prove his strength.